Okay, so this is in response to the horror historian and his Dennis Dyack and why I'm not excited for Dead House Sonata video. I am directly talking to you, my friend, as well as a bunch of other Legacy of Kain fans and Dead House Sonata fans who've been following this project for a couple of years. Respect to you in that video. I like how you give out some very brief historical, as your name implies, facts of the development of Dennis Dyack games and how they potentially went back in the day with Blood Omen, Eternal Darkness, Two Human, X-Men. The guy has had a rough career, to be fair, but that is game development. It's true that Dennis Dyack, I feel like chaos follows him sometimes, but that is how some creators just generally are. Cliff Basinski, Cliffy B from Epic is one of them that I would name out. Chaos has followed that guy throughout his entire career. Granted, everything has its ups and downs. Dennis Dyack's career has had its ups and downs, some for the better, some for the worse. It is what it is. When you are a game developer and your main focus is developing games and then you switch to a business focus, things can definitely change. But that is where you have to sort of wear multiple hats, be it the programmer in you, the designer in you, or the creative director in you, and also the business side, the money side. There are things to balance that out. And some people do it better than others, not for lack of trying. I think, and I understand where you're coming from, and I understand where all you other Legacy of Kain fans are coming from, you Dead House Sonata fans are coming from, even the the guys at Night Dive, the System Shock remake fans, the guys who were fans of Scorn for many years by Ebb Software, and it just finally came out, and some people loved and hated that game. I personally am loving it. I personally love System Shock and have been waiting for that forever, being a Night Dive Studios fan myself. And of course, I'm a Dead House Sonata fan, and I've been following that game since its development, ever since it was announced back in 2019 from that IGN video that everyone hated on. And of course, I'm a part of the community as well. I make Dead House Sonata videos. That's part of my focus on my channel, right? I understand where you guys are coming from. It's been 3, almost 4+ years now, and the only thing that Dead House Sonata has to show for it has been a bunch of lore dumps, which, to be fair, whether you like Dennis Dyack's conceptual designs, ideas, and writing, you are going to gel with or you're not. Some really good artwork that has been changed up over the years, as well as some early gameplay prototype stuff. Again, prototype stuff, and I think that's the key word here, prototype stuff. Everything that you have seen from Dead House Sonata from the early days of 2019 up to now has been prototype stuff, pre-alpha stuff, because that's game development. The thing with game development, and the reason that transparency generally doesn't exist within the game development space, is because of responses like this. We get you, the horror historian, other Dead House Sonata fans, and even the Legacy of Kain fans who just have a giant doubt that this is going to happen, that's going to happen, is it going to happen, it's not going to happen, going around thinking that stuff is going to happen, because we as a society, as human beings in general, as people, always expect instant results, and we want what we want, and we want it now. That goes for anything, right? With Dead House Sonata, this is what transparency looks like. I think we have to give credit to Dennis Dyack, Apocalypse Studios, and the other team members who have been as transparent with the development of this project as possible. You often don't see this with kickstarting projects. With kickstarting projects, even those things lose their transparency. You'll get a couple of updates every few months, if that, and they will go through the development process with screenshots, with just talking of what they're changing up. If you're into that thing, cool. If not, you drop your money and you just ignore it until the game releases. I personally, when I backed Scorn on Kickstarter 8 years ago now, I think, but of course it's released now. When I backed Scorn those many years ago, the development team was pretty transparent. Hey, this is what's going on. Hey, here's the update of how we're going to change those 2 parts into one big long game. And some people are complaining that it's short, but that's another story. and like that's just it. The whole transparency of game development isn't really there. That's why if a game gets announced in like 2013, we don't hear or see anything about it until its release date in a couple of months in 2018 or 2019. Like, that's just how it is. And I think that you or the other Dead House members or Legacy of Kain fans need to really understand that this is probably the most transparent that a game company has been, especially like a new one for a game they're developing, like ever. Sure, it's a lot of concept art. Sure, it's a lot of really pre-alpha early talks of just what the concept or general thing of what they want the game to be is, but that is game development. That's the whole thing that like people need to really understand, is that when you're developing something, things change, especially in game development. Things change and go with the ebb and the flow of things that they're it's really, it's kind of hard to grasp because we just don't understand it. I really think that people don't understand that you can watch the gray box scale gameplay footage of something and still think that it's going to come out tomorrow, even though it's going to be years from now. And again, I commend Dennis Dyack and Apocalypse Studios for being as transparent as they are, even with the community streams and stuff like that of what the gameplay is now. Saying that like there's nothing to really show for Dead House Sonata, I don't think is true. Because even the concept art and all the lore, that's something to show for. Sure, it's going to be a free-to-play online action multiplayer game similar to Warframe, Destiny 2. It's going to be similar to that, right? But the fact that all you can do is really talk about it or look at the art or look at the lore, because it's going to be narrative also, which is something that's new and I don't think has been tackled before, at least that I can recall anyway at this moment, is different. And I think seeing the development of that process is an eye-opening thing as well as a good thing for the industry. Granted, the industry will never probably ever do this because being as transparent as possible is a good thing and a bad thing, because you go from conceptual art to final gameplay product very, very, very slowly. That's why it's taken so long. It's not that Dead House Sonata isn't ever coming out. It is. It's just that game development takes a really long time. Again, look at how long Scorn took. Look at how long the System Shock remake is taking, from originally going from being developed in Unity to changing to Unreal Engine 4 to the final polishing and demos to a final release date in March now. Like, game development takes a long time, and I think that's what people really need to understand. Unless you enter the game development space yourself, you will never understand how long something actually takes to develop. And it is a long time. Years even. The only time, and this is the great thing, the only time games take 3 or less years to develop is if you have a team of thousands and they're crunching their asses off and they're working their asses off to get this game out on the line, because that's what their big publisher who's given them millions of dollars have done. When you have a small team like Apocalypse Studios working on Dead House Sonata, this is going to take years. Especially when you're trying to make sure that everyone's salaries are in order, make sure that the business side is there, make sure that the deals with the partners and the engine that you're using and stuff and everything is there from the get-go. Trying to balance all that out, that's the thing. When you're Night Dive Studios and you're working on a System Shock remake and you have to reboot it, and again, you have a team of a bunch of different people switching off and off between projects, working on remasters, working on this game that's trying to get out, it's going to take a long time unless you have a team of thousands of people solely focused on getting this game out of the way. That's not how it is. That's not how it is for game development. That's not how it is for Night Dive Studios right now. That's not how it is for Apocalypse Studios and Dead House Sonata. That's not how it was for Ebb Software and Scorn. You have these small teams working their butts off at a reasonable pace to get a game out the window. That's what this is. And I think that just, if you guys like sit back and relax and try to just chill out for a minute, then it's gonna happen. It's just gonna take time, and that's the really thing. It's gonna take time. Things take time. Things take a long while. I understand where you're coming from in that Dead House Sonata is kind of like a donut, in that you have someone expert at their craft of marketing and telling you what this donut is going to be. It's going to be the biggest, most delicious donut ever. It's going to have the most delicious frosting with the greatest sprinkles, and the texture of that donut is going to be delicious, right? And you're going in expecting this to be the best donut on the planet, and then where's the donut? Or once the donut is released, it's like a little tiny donut that's maybe this big and not some big jumbo donut that you thought about. But the things about that donut that was expertly marketed to you and talked to you about, and just a really good donut, right? Like people have talked to you about this donut forever, and then you get it, and it's an okay size. You bite into it, and your expectation of the most delicious donut on the planet, it's kind of there, but it's not fully the best donut that you were hyped up about. That's the other thing with marketing, and that's the other thing with hype and everything like that. If you manage your expectations and you just relax a little bit and you really try to get it in your head that things take time to develop, and eventually it'll come out and it'll be good, or to whatever your expectations are, if they are managed, because nothing is perfect and nothing is bug free and everything like that, then I think you'll have a easier understanding of just game development and as a whole, as well as what Apocalypse Studios is trying to do, as well as what Night Dive Studios is trying to do, as well as what Ebb Software at Scorn did. In that, granted, everything is different. I'm just using these examples, but I do commend you on your video and getting out some of those like Legacy of Kain facts and stuff like that. Those are all. That's the thing when you're talking about Dennis Dyack, is like it's a rocky road, and the only real source of what is correct and what isn't correct are from the horse's mouth. And I've talked to Dennis Dyack about these kind of things, and it's all just a rocky road to follow. So I would say to you and all the other people out there, if you're a fan of Dennis Dyack and you're excited for Dead House Sonata, just relax. Just relax. Things take time. Temper your expectations. Follow the community, of course, and just chill, and it'll be okay. Dead House Sonata is coming out. It will release, and the only time that it won't happen or won't release or whatever is if like the guy dies and maybe management switches to somewhere else, or if the guy publicly says, "Hey guys, bad timing. Dead House Sonata is canceled for whatever reason." But I don't think that's going to happen. They worked way too hard on this, and they've shown stuff that they haven't needed to show or whatever. That's the other thing. They didn't need to be this transparent. He could have announced Dead House Sonata 3 years ago in 2019, and then we couldn't have heard fuck all for years until recently, when we actually are getting updated gameplay in the Unity engine and everything like that. There's all these other factors that play into it, but I think the transparency fact is a good thing. So just chill, just relax, and everything will be okay. And I don't say that I'm getting paid to say all this. I'm not. I'm just a fan. I believe in Dennis Dyack's projects. I like what he does, and I like Dead House Sonata. So, yeah, just chill. It'll be cool, man.